Hi everyone, my name is Shivani Tyagi. Now because you guys loved Hegel's theory and you wanted me to do second part, so here I am with the second part of Hegel's theory. So imagine that there is a movie going on. It's not just a random movie, it's a movie with lots and lots of twists. So suppose there is a kingdom, a king who is ruling out and instructing people to do certain things, and those rules are very strict to follow. There are people who are being treated like a slave, and then suddenly what one moment they decide that why this is happening to us, why are we being treated like a slave, why we cannot get freedom, right? So all these questions start arising. So these formations is what these changes, these formations, these identifying of the problem, identifying the problem, this analysis, this analysis, and then reaching to a certain point where you understand that yes, that whatever is happening in the society, whatever is happening to us is not right, is what he calls spirit. So spirit is not something individual he is talking about. Spirit is something realization as a community, right? Just like as a ruler, he was being very strict to those people, to the citizens, and they were treated like, slaves. And then when they realize it, when they understood that whatever is happening to us is not right and we should, protest against it, this is what he calls spirit. Now what he calls about spirit, he says that they are not individual mind or soul. Just like I explained that they are not individually, he's talking about that my spirit or your spirit, he's talking it as a whole, right? So universal rationality he's mentioning, the shared culture, the self-awareness, humanity as a whole. So if you are understanding that we as a community are being passionalized and we should raise our voice against it, this is what he calls gist. So history, spirit realizing itself step by step. It takes formation, it takes times, and through that spirit realizes that whatever is happening to us as in our community is not right, and we should raise our voices against that. So this is what he calls. And if we understand it, then in the society we can see that there is early where only rulers were free and people were being like treated as a slave, and then modern idea of universal rights and democracy, it kind of, with modernization and understanding and development, it actually raised many questions. And the middle part is medieval, which some groups gained rights, right? So it was like before only ruler had the right, then later on people realized that yes, these division of right is not fitting in the society, so few of them got the right. Then later on in the modern time, people understood, right, the idea of universal, it was spreading like a fire, and they understood as a spirit, they understood that yes, we want freedom. So this, according to Hegel, takes step by step. There are contradictions, there are analysis, there are like facts, there are observations, and there are conflicts, and through all of these, as together, we as a gist, as a spirit, understand that there is a requirement of change. So this is what he calls spirit and gist about, right? So spirit as freedom in action, freedom doing whatever you want. This is not freedom that you can do as individually whatever you want, right? I am not talking as individual here. My responsibility should be towards the community, for the community, right? This is what Hegel's talk about, that if you are thinking as individual, that individuality should go towards the community, for the family, right, for the people. Then he talks about that true freedom is living in a community that protects the all. Then expression through family, civil society, and the state. So whatever you are thinking, whatever you are doing, this individual identity of yours, this individual work of yours should be directed towards the society, towards the community, towards the state. And this is what he calls gist. So gist or spirit should realize their identity, should realize the efforts and facts that they are being treated as slave. So this realization should be towards the community, for the welfare of community, not as an individual perspective, right? Then moving with the second slide, Hegel on religion. So according to him, he said that yes, let's accept God, but God is very distant to us, right? All the philosophers that came before him said that that God is existing individually, but according to Hegel, he says that if we are putting God, something so distant, then how can we get the characteristic of him? So he says that God is not someone who is existing outside of us. He is someone who is existing inside of us. And how he is existing? So he rejected the idea of distant God beyond the world, right? Then he says that this is present within human life and history. However, whatever we are realizing, however we are realizing, through all of these things, through our actions, through our morality, through all these values that we carry every single day, through all of these things, God is somewhere presented in us. Then religion is not false, expresses truth in symbols, stories, and rituals. He says that yes, religion is present, but through these, religion is present, right? Now, to have this in action, we should realize that God is someone who is giving value, meaning to the life, and it should not be distant. Understood? So, nature, religion, and morality, true religion grounded in reason and morality, not dogma. These superstitions that we, especially in India, can see, he didn't believe in them. He says that whatever is outside morality, whatever is outside values, which is not giving benefit to the community, to the history, then this religion has no benefit. So he declined all the superstitious thing, or the values, or all the practices which are not leading somewhere towards the history for the benefit of the community, for the benefit of the society, is actually false according to him. Understood? Then rituals, beliefs, and valuable when they express spirit's journey towards freedom and ethical values. So any way or any step which is leading towards ethical life and value is right for Hegel. But if that value and ethical life is leading somewhere towards the superstitious, is false from Hegel. So this is the difference. And he said about God that he is not distant, he is existing in ourselves, and we should take him as a stick which is helping us to move forward towards the history which is revolving, evolving for the better future of the society as a community. Then absolute knowledge. I explained this in the starting also, that truth is not one-sided, and according to me, this also tells about Jainism, Anekantvad. If you, my students can relate to it, I discuss it all the time, and I compare, all the philosophies together. So all my students know that whenever it comes to Western philosophy and Indian philosophy, we do this in class also. We do the discussion also. So Jainism talks about Anekantvad. Now, what Anekantvad says? Anekantvad says that there are many sideness, right? So many sideness means that every reality has sides. So for example, an example that is given in the Jainism Anekantvad theory, there was an elephant, or there were four people, blind people, and they were presented in front of elephant, and they were told that you have to touch elephant and tell what it is. So few of them touched like leg, and they said this is a pool. Few of them touched his stomach, and they said that this is a wall. Then a trunk, they said this is a rope. So different perspective they said, right? So this is what Anekantvad says, that because the situation can arise that you are not aware of the situation, right? You are not aware of the perspective of the other people, so you have to accept that there can be other scenarios also, other situation also, and through this you have to understand that one reality can have many sides, right? So this is what Jainism said. So according to absolute knowledge, it says that knowledge cannot be understood from one perspective. There are different aspects, and we have to combine together to become that, it's like a puzzle. When you will solve that puzzle, when you'll combine all the puzzles together, there will be one frame. So this is what Hegel says, that absolute knowledge unites everything. So it unites science, ethics, art, religion, and politics, right? So absolute knowledge is full picture of reality. So Partial views aren't enough. True knowledge, collective human efforts grow through history, language, science, art, law, not private but shared and universal. So, for example, you are seeing a painting. So, the scientist who made those colors, you may define it as something with chemical theory, right? A painter who made it, who had the idea, who had the image in his mind, may define it through art, through the culture, right? Then one who can criticize it may have a different perspective, right? But that picture has different meaning. So this is how we have to understand that these all together combines the essence of picture together. So this is what Hegel talks about. Then knowledge as social universal, true knowledge, collective human efforts. This is not something geist, like he gave example of, geist is not something which exists individually. It is not existing as individual perspective. It is combining, it's combination of all together. Then grows through history, language, science and art. No, not private but shared universal. It takes step by step and it's shared by everyone. It's not individual perspective. Then unity of spirit, philosophy's aim is to overcome partial views, not destruction of all fields. So it's the philosophy duty to combine all of these together: art, culture, ethics, science, all of these together. Philosophy is doing this like from the starting. When it comes to rationalism, we are talking about science and logic. When it comes to empiricism, we are talking about, experiences, how we can understand the knowledge through, by experiences. So these difference could be seen in philosophy, and all my students understand this very well, that philosophy holds science also, physics also, and chemistry also, and there are lots and lots of philosophers who give their different viewpoints, right? Then master saved dialectic theory. So according to Hegel, what Hegel said, that the one master who has the authority, and according to like us, we think that he has the all power, but somewhere he is actually dependent on slave. The slave who have all the qualities, who have the capability, is actually serving master, and master may doesn't know those qualities, right? He don't have those capability to do certain things, right? So he says that two self-conscious beings struggle, one becomes master, the other becomes slave, right? Then master appears powerful but depends on slaves theories. So slave seems weak but work transforms them. If you are working somewhere for a longer time, you'll understand the work values, you'll understand the capabilities of yours, you'll understand that how different and amazing you are from the one who from whom you are working, right? And once you understand this, that you are capable enough to, move out from that master slave theory, then this is what Hegel talks about, that you are building as a geist who can become transformation, right? So seals transformation through work, through labor, gains skills, discipline, self and respect, right? Slave moves towards inner freedom, master remains dependent. Imagine that you are working for someone, right? You have everything, you have creativity, you have capability, you can do lots and lots of things that your boss cannot, right? So once you realize your efforts, once you realize that yes, you can move out of this, trauma, then the moment you realize it, you are like a fly bird, right? But that master, he's still dependent, so he'll hire another slave. Because why? He is not capable, he is not realizing his efforts, and he's kind of dependent on that person, right? So influence, Marx came and he explains that this struggle between master and slave is not something historical or something about realization. It's more than that. It's about class struggle, right? So it's more about materialism, he talks about. So, freedom and identity shaped by struggle, work, recognition, true independent transformation through labor, not domination. Marx talks about labor, and Hegel talks about domination, about the revolution, about the changes that slave should have in himself. So, this is the difference between two. Then, ethics and Sittlichkeit. Now, what is Sittlichkeit? It's ethical life that he talks about. So, according to Kant, lying is something universal, right? So if someone is lying for someone's benefit, for someone's life, then according to Kant, even lying will not change its definition. Doesn't matter for what reason you are lying. According to Kant, lying is lying. There is no exception to it, right? So ethical lives is what Sittlichkeit is, right? Then morality embedded in customs, tradition, and institutions. So Hegel said that however we are realizing our efforts, our value, gist that he talks about, spirit that he talks about, the moment that person, that gist as a community, it realizes, there is chances that history is going to revolve, the history is going to flow towards the freedom, right? This is what he talks about. So true freedom is acting within family and society, not thinking individually, right? Then family, there are is an example like for family, for love is unity and care, like parents act out of love, not abstracted duty, right? Then we have civil society, contracts, professions, markets, mutual needs and fairness, right? But still ethical life is still going and revolving around it, right? Then according to him, true freedom is realized in family, civil society, and state together as a whole, not something that you are doing for yourself or individualism you are talking about. Then Hegel's dialectic spirit, spirit developing through contradictions. So as I explained in my previous classes also, that contradiction is something he took as a positively. He says that contradictions are necessary. Through contradictions only we are going to realize that how much important freedom is, how much important the changes are. So if we'll not have these contradictions, then moving towards history is not possible. Then each stage more freedom and self-awareness. If you are aware in yourself that whatever is happening to you, and it takes step by step, it's not happening instantly, it takes history, it takes steps, it takes contradictions. So this is what he talks about. Then Marx criticism of Hegel. Marx says that it's more about the class struggle, the difference between labor, right? Labor theory he gives materialism aspect. So he says that ideas are not the one that are shaping our life, is the struggle between labor and the person that he is working for. Then Hegel turns Hegel upside down. This is important. This is how you have to write all the pointers that I mentioned under the Hegel's theory. So key difference is that he talks about Hegel spirit journey, but Marx talks about material struggle, right? Equality, the class struggle they faces in the society, which is the money barrier that he is talking about, right? So according to him, the difference was on battle of ideas and battle of classes, right? Then what was the criticism of Hegel? So according to people, writings were full of dense terms and long sentences. It was becoming very difficult to understand what Hegel was, saying, because there was so long writing paragraphs and keywords mentioned that it was becoming very difficult to understand what he was trying to say. Then Prussian states. So basically, people started thinking that the conflict that was arising at that moment with the state. So those people started assuming, because he was favoring state in his statements, they started thinking that he is actually, benefiting the state. He is actually criticizing the people who are, having problem throughout the state. So the state has the highest ethical life, because from the starting we are seeing that he says that we should work towards the community, towards the state. So people started thinking that he is working for state, right? He defended the conservative authoritarian system of his time. Then ignoring material condition, that comes under the Marx dilemma and conditions. He focused too much on ideas and spirit, and the class struggle was, it was not mentioned, and it was becoming too idealistic, neglecting the individual existential critique. So it was said that he was thinking more about objective perspective, but the individual, the subjective perspective was something that was missing in his theory. We as individuals should exist also, we should think about ourselves also, and all his theory was focusing on objective, through the community, right? Through the environment, through the family, through the society he was thinking. So this was the criticism that he gave. So this was whole Hegel's theory. And if you will come in my class, there is more discussion to do it, there is more to understand, because we not only learn, we actually understand that how Hegel's theory is fitting in today's life, how there are relevance of Indian society and Western society altogether, what are the conflicts that they generate together, and how we can resolve them by putting ourselves in your shoes, in their shoes. So this is what we're discussing in my class. So if you are missing all of this together, then you are welcome in my class. At 1:40 I take my classes, so at Plutus IAS. So if you are interested in all the revolutionary ideas, so I'll be waiting for you in the class. Thank you.